top 5 technologies in IT that's going to make this world look more smarter, more special, and it's going to take us through a fascinating journey in the next decade. So let's look at what are the 5 skills or the 5 technologies or the 5 domain that right from an individual to an entrepreneur, to a business, to an investor should give priority in the upcoming years that could make their products and services would look much smarter and special. Right. So this is something going to help us build our future, and the fundamental reason why these 5 top technologies have been chosen. The reason being that by 2025, all that I'm going to refer to, point to as the top 5 technologies are on an average with an estimation are going to have a market span or a market footprint of about $10 trillion, and that's a big number. And that being such a huge number, the opportunity is going to be tremendous for every individual out there. So let's look at what are these top 5 skills. The first skill in the list, or the first technology in the list, is artificial intelligence. And when I use this term artificial intelligence, for most of you who's listening to it, it's not something new, because you've been hearing about artificial intelligence quite some time now. Now, why should we refer to artificial intelligence at this moment and call it as the topmost technology that's going to drive the world next? The reason is that today, if I'm a customer, I always intend to get more sophisticated products, more sophisticated solutions, which would make my life much easier. If I'm running a business as an entrepreneur, it is quite important for me to make my business more smarter and intelligent, wherein it makes every product and the service look much simple for my customer. Now, with this being the challenge today, the biggest things that are yet to come are those wherein we are not able to make or produce machines, computing devices, and equipments that could replicate human intelligence. I mean, you might even still wonder that the technology is growing so drastically that the systems, the computing machines, the devices are becoming more and more smarter day in and day out. How could I say that? The reason why I say that, because when we talk about human intelligence, there are certain special things that we as humans possess, which we are still having a challenge to induce them on our machines, on our computing devices, on our products. And what are those? Now let's talk about the biggest gift that we have as a human. We are more logical based on our experience. We are more logical based on our skills. We are more logical based on our academics, based on our knowledge. Now, when a challenge is put in front of us, when a situation is put in front of us, we do not just logically look at things, we also emotionally look at things. We also predict the future, predict the pattern, predict the outcome. Now, when we say we are capable of doing multiple things like this, and end of the day, even when we want to innovate a product, it is a bunch of brains that work together to see what's best for our users, what's best for our customers. Now, when humans are so brilliant enough, so bright enough to think what can make our life much easier in a much logical pattern, it is quite important for us to induce a logical thinking ability for a mission as well. In terms of, now how do we do that? To get a mission more smarter, it is important for us, irrespective of what that machine is or what computing device it is important for us to put that machine on the computing device through various pressure, through various situations, through various testing patterns. How do we do that? Again, by wearing various inputs. And when we do that repeatedly, these machines end up learning various symptoms. They start recognizing various patterns. Now, once they do all this, over a period of time, they are ready to apply some sort of logic which we humans are able to do in general based on our experience. Now, when we talk about humans, we as human intelligence, we eventually do a lot of things. Especially, right now I'm talking to you all. I'm actually giving a presentation to you all. So when I do this presentation, I just don't do it. I also think and process what I need to say. So there is some sort of intelligence, or there's some sort of brilliance or logical pattern which is required to communicate, to even do speech recognition. Now these are the little challenges that the computing device or the machines have today. And probably we can build these kind of intelligence in them by using some smart input devices such as smart speakers and things like it. And also, it is important for us to evolve the products which are more and more and more user friendly. Now, by now you could understand, though we carry a phone which is so efficient enough, though we have business that could run just on an application in my phone, though I carry my work home, though I commute in a car or commute in a transportation that looks much smarter today, but eventually we are not in an autonomous world. So there is a humongous opportunity right here, and we as individuals, when we build skills, when we intend to invest more time in building skills, wherein we have the right skill to make the machines learn better and better, we see a huge opportunity there. And as an entrepreneur, if I do the right investment to make my products, make my services look much more smarter to my customer, then I definitely crack a deal. And this is going to be a real big game changer in the coming days and the coming years. And the actual estimation is about $12 trillion, for artificial intelligence as a domain or a spectrum that could span as a market by 2025. And that's the reason I have it as part of my list. And moving further, what is the next thing? So you all might have heard Internet of Things. Now what is this Internet of Things? We keep doing things already. We already have so many things part of Internet today which we haven't imagined a decade before. But having said that, it is important for us to bring every possible thing, every possible component, every possible equipment, every possible anything that could be which you touch, feel, experience on a daily basis. It is important for us to bring all of those, connect all of those, and make it part of the internet, make it part of our global network. Now, why is that important for us? Now, one side of the innovation, we talk about autonomous vehicles, wherein I do not want to see myself driving my car. Fine, that's brilliant. On the flip side, what do I do on a weekend, right? So on a weekend, if I need to do a shopping still on an autonomous car, it is important, it is evident for me to inform my car or set a destination where it has to take me. Now, having said all this, if my decision is to do shopping, and eventually I know what exact shopping that I'm going to do on a weekend, and if all the marketplace and my autonomous car is able to interlink with each other, and they're able to communicate and say, where do I get my best offer and which destination should I need to be on my weekend, and if all of these are plug and play, and if all these dots are connected just like that, it makes human life much easier. And imagine how many more things that we could still bring it on internet. The challenge today is we haven't thought yet. And if you look at the number, the predictions, what we see, by end of this year, we would have about 20 billion devices, 20 billion components on internet. And that's a big number. Now, having said that, by the year 2025, that's 2025, this number is going to get 4 folds bigger. That is, the estimated number is about 75 to 80 billion components on internet. And just imagine the kind of opportunity we have to set a new business, to do the right investment, to build our products, think and imagine new things that could be provided as a service or a product to a customer. So this is going to be, again, a big game changer. So having said this, if we as an individual have any great idea that this is something new that we can connect and bring it on internet, and that itself would be seen as a greater idea, and that itself would be seen as a great place of investment or a market. And that's how this is going to work. So me as an individual, I would rather think and build skills how I could incorporate these opportunities for my future. Fine. Now let's see what's on the list there next. So we have cloud computing, secured cloud computing. Now, cloud computing is a common thing today, right? So right from every consumer to small business to mid-sized big business, right up to the enterprise segment, everyone is using cloud infrastructure. The challenge being that not everyone can have an in-house infrastructure and run their business. Now, this being a challenge, the second biggest challenge out there is when I definitely have a cloud infrastructure being leased for my purpose, the challenge is how secured my data is. Now, security plays a very, very critical role up there in the next roadmap. Now, what sort of challenge with the security? Now, the infrastructure, I'm not going to touch and feel my own infrastructure, right? If I run a business and I have 10 million customers, whom I cater my product or service to, definitely I even don't know on what infrastructure or what platform I'm managing my business, because I don't have an opportunity to touch and experience and physically secure my infrastructure on my own. The reason being that I avail cloud infrastructure. Now, cloud being a service, the assurance is that my data is going to be secured, my business is going to be secured, my operations are going to be secured. Now, with all this assurance in place, still it's a trust factor that we run with. So security out here plays a very, very critical role. Now, I've been doing a lot of study and research, and I even hear that they are planning for about 600, 700 bits, indeed 1500 bits of encryption on data, and they end up throwing a challenge that not even 2 billion or 5 billion guesses per second would able to break these data security, counting at least next 5 billion years. But that's quite imaginary. Now, having said, still we see challenges across the globe wherein we have so many threats, so many attacks that's constantly happening on our open network, that's happening on our infrastructure, which is being supplied to us through the open network. Now, with this being the challenge, the innovation on security, the skills on security, the new thought process on security is going to play a very, very critical role in the coming years. And security itself, especially cloud security itself, is going to have a market span of about close to $8 trillion by 2025. So that's going to be a big game changer again. So we know exactly where we need to be then. So let's look at what's next in the list. The next big thing that we have is the mobile communication, or how do we avail, end of the day I've been talking about too many things. I've been talking about products being smarter, I've been talking about services being smarter, I've been talking about getting all components on the internet, and I even referred that infrastructure could be over the open network in a very secured way. Now, with all this in play, end of the day, we need a terminal to run my business. And I cannot imagine or visualize my terminal. Definitely I need to touch, feel, and have a private feel about my terminal. And that terminal I'm referring to is nothing but any mobile components. So end of the day, for me to run my business, I need to have a mobile device, and I need to connect that device to a network to avail all these fascinating smart things that's happening around me. So mobile communication, mobile telecom, and mobile architecture, the advanced risk machines, their architectures and the design factor, their engineering and their developments is going to be a very, very, very critical role. And we already know that we have 5G on the roadmap, and quite a number of telecom industries, large industries, are already playing a very evident role in their implementation, in their designs. Now, with the 5G coming in play, the assurance that practically they are saying is that we as customers would end up seeing about 1 gigabits per second at our terminal. So that's a big number. And definitely that number and that speed is essential for our devices. The reason why we need such devices, because I already did mention that our products, our services are going to be more and more and more smarter. Now, when we imagine that, we're going to have an end terminal, a device, a mobile component that's going to be right on my arm, and I'm going to walk around with speeds of hundreds of megabits per second or even 1 gigabit per second at my terminal. Imagine what sort of technology that I need to be dealing with. So this again opens a very humongous opportunity for individuals like me and you, for technologists like me and you, to decide where we need to build our skills, and also for entrepreneurs and investors to rightly know what sort of investment they need to look forward to make their business a game changer. So let's look at what's the next thing on the list. Now, we spoke about artificial intelligence, we spoke about Internet of Things, we did mention about secure cloud computing, and then mobile communication playing a very, very critical role. Now, with all this in place, the biggest requirement of the hour, the biggest need of the hour is, every business, the wealth for the business is the data. Now, when data being a critical wealth for the business, the two prime, requirement for every individuals like us to avail a product or a service, and even for the business to provide that service, the two fundamental requirement is, one, to have an infrastructure that could make all these smart products, smart services reach the customer at the most possible speed, and also to process the request at the highest possible speed. Now, whatever I did mention right now, what I'm trying to say is the data is going to play a very critical role. Every business is going to have tens and hundreds and thousands and millions of customers. Now, with those many customers, with multiple transactions, the data, the intensity or the load of the data that we're going to deal with are going to exponentially grow. And today we're talking about a market where by end of this year, we close to we on this globe, we're dealing about 30 to 35 thousand exabytes of data. This is a big number, right? So the wealth in the globe is all about the data, and this number is going to drastically grow, exponentially grow, and the growth rate is expected at 50x to 60x. Now, we definitely need large infrastructure to support all the innovations that we end up doing through the modes of artificial intelligence, machine learning, and through and on all the integration of the devices that we're going to do on the internet, with the help of various electronic devices, sensors, or even with software and applications, with all the integration that we're going to do, and with the kind of speed on our mobile communication we're going to provide to our customers and make these devices connect at a greater speed, the infrastructure, the support for the computing and the storage plays a very, very critical role. The shape in which they are today may not remain the same. Their architecture, their method, their approach would drastically change. However, they play a very, very, very critical role. So what I'm trying to say is the next big thing in our list, which is nothing but the enterprise technology, the infrastructure to support the first four that I did mention in the list. So overall, what I'm trying to say is to enable our innovations and of products and services through the methods of artificial intelligence, to make them smarter and smarter, and to have about billions of devices being part of internet and making them on the IoT platform, and also thinking of having a very secured virtual infrastructure through cloud medium for all the upcoming business and the present business, and also having greater speed of network to connect to all these services. End of the day, we need a platform, we need an infrastructure, and that is what is going to be attained through enterprise technology. So in a nutshell, each of these 5 line items that I did mention do have a very large scope, exponential scope, and the marketplace and the market size is going to really look very, very interesting, with very fascinating big numbers. And as I did mention, on an average, against all the 5 line items, the market size is going to look close to an estimated size about $10 trillion by 2025, and that is going to wide open a huge opportunity for us as individuals, for us to know where to invest ourselves, build our skills, and accelerate our career. And for organizations and entrepreneurs, they definitely need to know how to tweak their products and services, make them more smarter, and where to do the right investment. And for all those who are interested to know what is the exact thing that's going to happen in each of these top five technologies, what is that we need to look forward in the coming months, and what kind of skills that I need to attend, or what kind of innovations or what kind of thought process that I need to have as an individual, or how do I need to integrate myself part of this domain. If any one of you are interested around these technologies and topics, I would recommend you to kindly subscribe to my channel and just wait for my future videos, which is going to give you more insights on each of these technologies, not just them, all the upcoming technologies.